Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the 25 Days of Real Christmas, a series where we review some of your old and new holiday favorite films. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Elf. After discovering he is human, a man raised as an elf at the North Pole decides to travel to New York City to locate his real father.
That's right, this movie. I'm just going to start it off like this.
All right, let's go.
One of my top 5 favorite Christmas movies ever.
Nice.
Easily.
Okay. I can see that. Definitely.
And not only after watching them talk about Elf on Making Movie Magic or something on Netflix.
Oh, it was Holiday Movies That Made Us, right.
Okay. Yeah. After even watching
good documentary. Yeah, good documentary you guys should check out for sure.
Definitely. Makes me even like this movie even more than I liked it already.
Yeah, when you get that behind the scenes things, right? You start to really see the creative workings inside this movie. It's incredibly interesting.
Well, the one thing that I took out of that whole thing that was really interesting to me, and it kind of makes my mind almost blown in a way, when they were saying that they might not be able to use the green elf suit.
What?
That was going to be changed to a purple or a blue or something like that color.
Right. So for the people at home, right, essentially what happened was the suit that Will Ferrell wears in the movie, it's obviously a knock on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the suits that they wear in that stop-motion animated film. There were some legal issues that they had in trying to acquire it and use it because you kind of tread on that weird line of, is it parody? You know, is it fair use like what we get on YouTube, like transformative, if they can legally do that? Because, they were pushing the bar a lot with what they were quote-unquote borrowing for this movie.
Well, yeah, it was almost like an homage to
for sure,
Rudolph movies and stuff.
Let's jump into some of the positives. So the main positive has to be, and can't be denied,
and actors.
It's Will Ferrell, right? Will Ferrell is Elf. He is Buddy the Elf. He just encapsulates the innocence. He gets the comedy right.
Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee. Great job, everybody. It's great to meet you. Hi.
Everything works. It's interesting, like you mentioned in that documentary, The Holiday Movies That Made Us, they actually referenced how he wasn't the first choice. Chris Farley was actually the first choice by the studio to play Elf, which would have been a completely different movie, if he were still alive and they went through with it. I actually do think this direction was probably the right way to go. Will Ferrell he has something innately innocent about him.
Tell me, where'd you get this picture? Papa Elf gave it to me.
Some kind of game. What do you want, some money?
No, I just wanted to meet you, and I thought you might want to meet me. I wouldn't want to meet you.
He's acting, he's got the comedy, but the reason his comedy works so well is I feel like he doesn't know it's working, right? He's just being himself. He's just having a good time. He just has this innate sense of happiness about him. And no matter what you watch him in, whether it's arrogance, happiness, whatever you want to call it in movies like Anchorman and things like that, his comedy just works. He just encapsulates everything Buddy the Elf is, what they're going for. That fish out of water scenario you were talking about, that's what he is. And he plays it committedly to a T.
Well, if you sing alone, you can sing in front of other people. There's no difference.
Actually, there's a big difference.
No, there isn't. Wait. I'm singing. I'm in a store and I'm singing. I'm in a store and I'm singing.
Hey! There's no singing in the North Pole.
Yes, there is.
No, it's not.
We sing all the time.
No, it's not.
Especially when we make toys.
No matter what you want to say about this movie, that's perfection.
Also, too, Will Ferrell works very well with the other cast of characters in this.
Well, that's part of it too. Right.
Especially with Zooey Deschanel. I feel like she played that character and they played so well. They worked off each other so well.
Hey, you. Come here. I want to talk to you.
What do you want to talk to me about?
How come you were in the women's locker room this morning?
I heard you singing.
You sure it had nothing to do with the fact that I was naked in the shower?
I didn't know you were naked. Why were you here so early?
They shut my water off. What were you doing here so early?
Building this?
That I felt like it was a really great like matchmaking.
See, I agree with you about him. He can bounce off anybody as far as an actor. He's very versatile that way. If you're very serious, he knows how to work off you, or vice, whatever your characteristic is. He can do it, especially when he's working with like a seasoned actor like James Caan. I mean, James Caan's the most serious, tough guy you could ever imagine on the face of the planet. And then you have Will Ferrell jumping on him, tickling him, getting him all angry.
Tickle me! Tickle me! Stop! Tickle me! Stop!
It just works. They know how to play off each other. And James Caan, a seasoned actor, you'd expect something like that. Zooey Deschanel, on the other hand, I actually don't agree with you as far as her. I didn't think she was one of the negatives, actually, I really had in this movie. While she is a good singer...
The neighbors might think, say, what's in this drink?
There's no denying that. This was kind of earlier in her career, and I felt like I got a lot of M. Night Shyamalan vibes from her acting. It's hard for me not to forget when she was in The Happening, because she was so terrible in that movie. I don't know if that's necessarily her fault. Part of me wants to think it is, because in this she just feels very wooden to me.
Why are you messing with me? Did Crumpet put you up to this?
I'm not messing with you. It's just nice to meet another human who shares my affinity for elf culture.
I'm just trying to get through the holidays.
A lot of the times, I just don't get much out of Zooey Deschanel. I guess they have chemistry, even if it's like an awkward chemistry.
So, do you want to go eat food?
Do I want to eat food?
Mm-hmm. The code.
Well, I just had my lunch break.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Then I'm free on Thursday.
Thursday! Thursday!
Come on, that'd be great.
Again, I'm not the biggest fan of her to begin with. I've seen her in New Girl. I've watched New Girl, and I think she's serviceable in that, and that was more later in her career. At this point, though, I don't know if she was just too new or whatever the case was. Her character just didn't really convince me. I think they could have gotten someone better to play off of Will Ferrell, a little stronger of a character. You have Bob Newhart, Ed Asner playing Santa, which is like the perfect grumpy Santa. I didn't know I needed Ed Asner as Santa Claus. That's perfect.
Well, there are some things you should know. First off, you see gum on the street, leave it there. It's not free candy.
Oh.
Second, there are like 30 Ray's pizzas. They all claim to be the original, but the real one's on 11th. And if you see a sign that says Peep Show, that doesn't mean that they're letting you look at presents before Christmas.
Even, Peter Dinklage actually shows up from Game of Thrones fame. This was one of his earlier movies, and I thought he was hilarious, especially, Will Ferrell's making all these elf jokes to him because he's a short person, and making all those jokes, and it was so cringe.
Feeling strong, my friend? Call me Elf one more time.
He's an angry elf. Look at you! Ow!
And so funny at the same time. But, Peter Dinklage, I always take him as like such a serious actor, seeing him on Game of Thrones and whatnot. But here he definitely shows the comedy, and he definitely has that comedic side to him. He's been in other funny things too. Not that Pixels is necessarily funny, but he was funny in Pixels and whatnot. He has a range to him that I didn't expect. But overall, everyone works. Even Jon Favreau, who's actually the director of this movie, his little cameo I thought was great.
Why am I sitting on paper?
Because it's sanitary for the other patients. Now sit still so I can do the finger prick.
Finger prick. Oh, it's cold.
Yeah, just please sit still, please.
Okay, can I listen to your necklace?
No, you can't. Can you just sit still?
Why is there a skeleton
I
on the
don't know.
wall?
Walter,
If I
could you
squint, it looks
please?
like a pirate
Could you
flag.
please have him sit
Does he
still
have
so
a
I can
name?
do
No,
this?
he hasn't got a name. I'm sorry,
I'm
Ben. I'm
patience
sorry. Would you
waiting.
please sit still, please?
He got mad at me.
Yes, he did. He did. The sooner you sit still, the sooner we can get this mess over with.
Okay.
Then can we eat sugar plums?
You betcha. We'll eat sugar plums and gingerbread houses, and we'll even paint eggs.
Well, paint eggs, that's easier.
I just love seeing Jon Favreau, and apparently he loves being on our channel because he's in about every other movie we talk about, I feel like. Again, all great performances. You can't take any of that away from it. The reason this movie really works is because there's two things. It's timeless, and it captures what we've I hope we were trying to convey, at least on this channel, is what it is about Christmas, right? It has the themes, it has the feeling of Christmas. It literally is like you said, Christmas vomit, when they talk about that earlier, like someone vomited Christmas. I feel like it made itself become a holiday classic, and I didn't want to stir away from that. You know, it captures all the themes of family and, you know, the spirit of Christmas and having the spirit of Christmas, you know, around you and taking it everywhere with you.
Buddy, there's something I have to tell you right now. I didn't mean anything I said back there, not a word. I know you may be a little chemically imbalanced, but you've been right about a lot of things. I don't want you to leave. You're my son, and I love you.
This movie doesn't shy away from its classic origins, so much to the point where it's almost, I almost want to say copying them in a way, with, you know, like the Rudolph classic stop motion, you know, tributes and whatnot.
Why the long face, partner?
It seems I'm not an elf.
Of course you're not. You're 6'3" and had a beard since you were 15.
Like, this movie just lives and breathes Christmas, and it doesn't shy away from that unabashedly at times.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal. Bye.
This movie is so joyful too. I feel like that it also makes you think too. Buddy the Elf is an older character in this movie,
right?
But he's almost like portraying a young kid and like the heart of a young kid on Christmas,
right,
and the heart of a young kid
the naivety,
going through it.
Yeah, the naivete.
And the fact that the main one thing that he wants in this life is for his father's love and attention.
I'm here with my dad, and we never met, and he wants me to sing him a song. And I was adopted, but you didn't know I was born. So I'm here now. I found you, Daddy. And guess what? I love you. I love you. I love you.
Which a lot of people can relate to, right?
Yeah. In the whole movie, he's just trying to get that from working a job that he obviously doesn't care for and he's not very good at.
This place reminds me of Santa's workshop. Except it smells like mushrooms and everyone looks like they want to hurt me.
To just trying to make his father proud of him, even though he's never been in his life.
Sounds relatable, right? It sounds like too much like a lot of people in real life. And I think, like you said, you're touching on it. You got your finger like right on the pulse of this movie. It's relatable in its own weird way. What it does is, to continue that story, is, and again, embrace the holiday spirit, is I think the comedy excellently complements that, because very rarely did I find a point in this movie where I wasn't cracking up, right? There was always a scene or a set piece that made me laugh or made me feel happy. Even when it was supposed to be like a depressing scene, like him working in the basement of a mailroom, he starts like having fun and partying with the guys down there.
What, Chuck? I mean, what could be going on down there that's so important you had to interrupt me? What?
The movie keeps pace. It's extremely fast and uses its ability to use the humor and the holiday trappings just to tell a convincing story. I mean, this movie is so quotable. The spaghetti, maple syrup, like classic.
Can you pass the maple syrup, please?
I didn't put... It's spaghetti.
You know what? I think I have something.
Yes. You like sugar, huh?
Is there sugar and syrup?
Yes.
Then yes.
Santa, I know him.
Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
Like the famous scenes like that.
You're not the real Santa.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Look, I'm not kidding.
You're a fake.
I'm a fake?
Yes.
How'd you like to be dead? Huh? No, he's kidding.
You stink.
I think you're gonna have a good Christmas, all right?
You smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
Okay.
Oh! He's an imposter!
And then like just the set pieces alone, just the fact that they had Buddy wandering around New York, and that was actually like a legitimate thing, which him just wandering the cities dressed in an elf costume, going up to people. It's so simple, yet it works. It works incredibly well. The filming techniques really can't be undermined at all in this movie. They would use forced perspective where they would move the camera to make Buddy look bigger than everybody and everything else in the room.
Let's recite the code of the elves, shall we? Number 1.
Treat every day like Christmas.
Number 2.
There's room for everyone on the nice list.
Number 3.
The best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
Even though he actually wasn't, they were all the same size. It's just crazy technology, man. And to think they couldn't go a CG route. By not going that CG route, and again, that proves something else we always nonstop don't shut up about on this channel, is when you use CG, it automatically ages your movie. You're automatically locked in whatever era you're talking about. This movie, by not using CG and having it actually there, it makes it timeless in that regard, for sure. Because you can watch it any time because it's really there, and it's not dated because it's actually happening.
Along with that, this was a new director. This was a new story
at the time. Yeah, it was Jon Favreau. This was like his first. I mean, not his first movie. He did have a film before this, but this is probably like his biggest budget film at the time, I would say.
All the work that these people put into this movie for it to become what it is, and I don't think they would have ever dreamed that it would be as big as it is, but it just caught on so well, and people can relate to it so much.
It struck a nerve. It struck a holiday nerve, really. It pulled a heartstring somewhere. You can argue it blew up Will Ferrell to astounding heights. I mean, he did have Old School around this time too, so you can make an argument there. Old School definitely launched his more raunchy side of his comedy, but I think this just showed he had a little bit of range. You know, like he was definitely a force to be reckoned with as far as a potential comedy legend in the making at the time.
You could also now still see other holiday movies taking stuff from this movie. Like you could see a lot of things
now,
like
the influence for sure.
Like this movie, especially with the sleigh running on Christmas magic and people believing in Christmas.
Yeah.
So many people take that now.
To be fair, that wasn't necessarily unique to this movie either at the time. So, you know, Christmas movies tend to do that, which is something I do want to get into a little bit. There are some things I noticed watching this. I wouldn't say they're super negative.
I'm a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
But they're just things that I have to address a little bit. Kind of like when we talk about like Nightmare Before Christmas when we were reviewing that. Maybe even a little more so in this movie. There were just some things I noticed. In a way, I feel like it's not as ambitious or as original as it thinks it is. Like, yes, the filming technique is amazing. The story itself, at its very core, is really just a fish out of water storyline that's kind of copying Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, while it is stunning, while it is beautiful, and while it looks amazing, it's not as original as it really thinks it is. You know, like when someone tells a really funny joke and either like they're cracking up at their joke, like, oh, this is the funniest joke I ever told. Elf's kind of like that in its own weird way. Again, not to that extent, I wouldn't say, but at the same time, it kind of borrows from everything around it. And the only thing that's really original that the movie adds is Will Ferrell's performance. Now, is that enough to make the movie great? For the most part, yes. Yes, I would say so. But the encapsulating things around it, maybe not so much. Emotions, I feel like, do run a little thin in this movie. For a holiday movie, I'm surprised, too, because it never really hits you in the feels when you watch this movie. You know, when you watch, like, one of the true holiday classics, like Home Alone, for example, is probably my best, like, you know, Kevin's mom comes home and they have that big embrace after being home alone so long, and it just makes you feel happy, like, yeah, he did it. I never got that moment with Elf. Like, I never got that true, like, wow, this is the Christmas spirit. This is really hitting me in the feels. I feel good. I feel like I just never got that for whatever reason with this movie. It never hit me that way. Like, I was waiting for it. And part of that, too, which goes into my last again, a little negative, if you want to call it that. The climax just feels kind of blah. The whole, like, just jump from what everything Buddy's dealing with in the city to Santa crashing in the middle of Central Park and having to get Christmas spirit back up. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was doing something different, and then at the end, it kind of just went back to the old cliche Christmas story. And because of that, I feel like it didn't live up to that emotional hype maybe I was looking for that is true, like a true timeless Christmas classic. It is, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it is missing just a little bit of something at the end as far as emotion.
You're entitled to your opinion.
See, buddy, you're not a cotton-headed ninny-muggins. You're just special.
I'll take that as a no.
I tend to I see where you're coming.
It's not bad. I don't want that to come across. Like, I know it sounds like I'm digging on the movie, which I'm really not. It's something I noticed, and I feel like part of it, I think, is part because I don't like Jovi either. So her singing, at the end of the movie, again, didn't really spur my Christmas emotions that much, even though she's a good singer. It just didn't reach that like ultimate feelings climax that I was looking for. It's a great comedy. It's a great, it does all that really well. But as far as like an emotional story they were trying to tell, it just didn't hit that level for me for whatever reason. It just didn't reach it. I think we're at that point though. We're going to give our final scores. I'm going to give Elf an A. Elf is a classic. There's not much that can be really poorly said about it. Will Ferrell's performance, this will always be remembered. I find it hard to believe someone hasn't seen Will Ferrell as Elf. It's become one of the iconic Christmas characters as Buddy the Elf. As crazy it is that this giant of a man in an elf suit walking around is hilarious, and it still works. It tells a great story. While maybe not wholly original, it does so much more with the concept that I think it's a fun ride. You can even argue this sparked Jon Favreau's career as a director. After this movie, he's been one of the hottest directors in Hollywood recently with, his Disney live adaptations, his Mandalorian success. Will Ferrell's got launched from this movie. And I think, if they were trying to make a timeless classic Christmas movie, I would say they succeeded. John, where do you stand with this film?
I give this movie an A+.
Why are you smiling like that?
I just like to smile. Smiling's my favorite.
An absolute one that you must watch. Definitely one of those Christmas movies that you can watch every year. Goes on that list.
It does. It's a fantastic movie. I couldn't agree with you more. So, John, where can the people find us at home?
You can find us on YouTube. The Real Movie Guys on YouTube. Like our channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We got many things in the works and coming out to you.
Yeah.
So you'll be the first one to know once you hit the notification bell. You can also follow us on Twitter, at TheReelMovieGuy on Twitter. We're always trying to put stuff out. We're always reading your comments and listening to what you guys have to say. You can also listen to us on many podcasting platforms, such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure. We are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, greatly appreciate it. Just search out Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. That guy over there, he's John. We are your Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't forget to tune in all this month as the holiday festivities continue during the 25 days of Real Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Catch you next time.